Before you consider dropshipping or running your e-commerce business on Google, make sure to watch this video in full to see exactly what you should do first. What's going on, guys? It's Nate again from Digital Wealth MB, the #1 digital marketing agency for e-commerce and lead generation businesses. In this video, we're going to cover the 5 steps that you need to follow before advertising your e-commerce business on Google. And don't forget, if you feel like you're getting good value from these videos, make sure to like and subscribe so that we can keep pumping out this type of content. Now let's hop right into it. Step 1, as a general rule of thumb, it is much easier to advertise higher ticket products on Google because you will have a much larger profit margin to work with. For instance, if I'm able to purchase a product for $15 and sell it for $45, then I have a $30 margin to work with. On the other hand, if I'm able to purchase a product for $40 and sell it for $100, then I have a $60 margin to work with for advertising. Now, these numbers are completely arbitrary, and not every product will be able to have that type of markup, but by selling a higher ticket product in the above instance, I have double the margin to work with. To keep it simple, I like to sell products that give me an AOV of above $100. That can mean by advertising bundles, upsells, or single high ticket products. I would not go below a $75 AOV as a bare minimum, and here's why. If you're advertising in a low CPC or cost per click niche in the USA, let's consider the CPC to be 60 cents. And let's say that your conversion rate is okay and it's about 2%. That means your cost per purchase would be around $30. Considering transaction fees, your refund rate, and the product costs, you're left with a very small margin to work with. Of course, you could get a ridiculously cheap product and advertise it with an absurd markup, but that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build a sustainable brand, and therefore you can't skimp out on product quality. Step 2, consider the average cost per click in the niche you're looking to advertise in. In step 1, I gave you the general rule of thumb for product pricing on Google. Now let's make it even easier to calculate what you should be pricing your product at. If you found a niche that piques your interest, you'll need to consider the CPC of that niche before you even start your product research. For example, if I want to go into the red light therapy niche and the average CPC is $1.50 in the US, then with a 2% conversion rate on average, my cost per purchase would be around $75. Therefore, including the refund rate, transaction fees, and product price, I may need to price my product at around $200 to even be profitable. If I go into the fruit juicer niche within the USA, the average CPC is around 70 cents, which means that within the same conversion rate, my cost per purchase would be $35, which is less than half of the previous example. Therefore, my product price could be much cheaper to remain profitable. Step 3, perform a competitor analysis. Now, there are 2 parts to this step. Part 1 is right from Marketing 101. You need to make sure that you're not pricing yourself out of the market. We're talking about creating the highest chance for success, and while it is still very possible to become a dominating force with the most expensive product, it is not as practical as pricing yourself within your market. If your product is too expensive, your conversion rate may be much lower and your refund rate may be much higher. If your product price is too cheap, then you may have a high click-through rate but a low conversion rate because of the product quality. Therefore, you will quickly get eaten up by competition. Take a look at the average of the cheapest products listed in the shopping ads and the average of the most expensive products in the shopping ads. And for the sake of simplicity, and if your margins are there, try to keep your products within those price averages. Part 2 is taking a look at the shopping ads for your product niche and making sure that it is not saturated with a ton of Walmart, Amazon, or wholesale company listings, because this will drastically lower your conversion rate with your shopping ads. It's going to be hard to compete with Amazon or Walmart's prices, and with Google, a killer landing page will only take you so far if the customers see that you're advertising the same exact product that they also see advertised from Walmart and Amazon. Step 4, determine your unique selling propositions. This is arguably the most important step, so if you haven't watched anything since, I would make sure you watch now. Make sure that your product is visibly different than the rest of the products being advertised in your niche. Here's an example of what I mean. While the massage gun niche is very saturated and hard to penetrate, there are a few companies who were still able to successfully penetrate the market because they offered a massage gun of the same quality, but it also offered a heating and cooling feature to the massage gun, aiding in the recovery and pain relief benefits. This was something that we could easily illustrate in the shopping ads, and because the massage gun was of similar quality to the others that were being advertised, this new version of the product had a high click-through rate and a higher conversion rate because it was something new that did offer additional benefits while either keeping the price the same or only increasing it slightly. You can take this concept and apply it to just about any market segment or any niche, and it will greatly increase the odds of success when advertising on Google. Step 5, the final step and the most overlooked step in the checklist. Where are you going to advertise your product? Many dropshippers and e-commerce business owners immediately look to the US or the UK when advertising because of their total population. But a lot of the time, those locations are much harder to penetrate and require a much higher budget for testing. See, native advertisers have been using this strategy for years, but it's rarely talked about in the e-commerce community. There are 3 tiers of countries, ranging from the wealthiest countries to the more developing countries. For example, tier 1 countries include the USA, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, Italy, etc. Tier 2 countries include Greece, Mexico, Portugal, Poland, etc. And tier 3 countries include Guatemala, India, Nigeria, etc. It is a wide spectrum, and there are countries that are tier 1 that are much cheaper to advertise in than others. So this needs to be considered when determining your budget, the market situation, and when doing your competitor analysis. There may be competitors advertising your product heavily in the USA, but not in Australia. And while the search volume will be lower, the cost per click tends to be much cheaper in Australia, justifying launching in that country instead. If you go to a country like Spain, for example, the CPC would be even cheaper than advertising in Australia, and it's nearly double the population. And you can advertise your products for roughly the same price, depending on your niche, as you would in Australia. If your budget is much smaller, let's say under $500, then you may want to consider starting your Google Ads journey in a tier 2 country, as the CPCs will be a fraction of what they are in the USA. The only difficulty is being able to actually source your products at a cheap enough rate to advertise in those countries. All right, now let's do a quick recap of the checklist. Step 1, high ticket products have a higher margin to work with when advertising. Step 2, consider the average cost per click in the niche that you're looking to advertise in. Step 3, perform a competitor analysis. Step 4, determine your unique selling propositions, arguably the most important step. And step 5, where are you going to advertise your product? That concludes this Google Ads video. Leave a comment below if you have any questions about anything that I said in this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.